Hi guys, Alice Taylor down here at Living Golf Academy, and today we're going to take a look at, do low spin drivers really work? So I test everything when it comes in at LGA, and I'm going to use the Callaway Rogue and the Callaway Rogue Sub Zero. Now both have performed really well for me, but I want to see, with me swinging the same on the same day, with the clubs set up the same with the same shaft, does the Sub Zero give me lower spin? Is it beneficial, or is possibly the weight being a little bit further back in the normal Rogue possibly making it a bit more forgiving, more beneficial to me? Because a big thing with the spin numbers that you see on a launch monitor, they're massively affected by where you strike the ball on the face. So if you hit it high toe, you tend to see a high launch with very little spin. If you hit it a little bit heely, you tend to see a much lower launch with more spin. Now my poor strike, if anything, tends to be slightly high and slightly toey. But I'm going to hit 5 real balls with the normal Rogue, 5 real balls with Rogue Sub Zero, and we're going to look at the numbers, and then we're going to talk about the difference the head makes, and is it something that, because we're all very aware that high launch and low spin is what we're after for that perfect long drive, are too many of us using low spin drivers that don't need to? And actually, like I said at the start, does it make that big a difference? So we're going to go with the standard model first off. And obviously they both look very similar. Slightly different shape behind the ball, but look very similar behind the golf ball. So standard model first off. So that is a tiny bit towards the toe. So that's why it's just turning over a little bit more. But pretty good numbers, or pretty good distance. It's actually nice down at Lytham that we're getting more towards summer, and I'm actually getting to do the odd video in a t-shirt now, rather than have to have all my layers on for the winter. And that one felt nice and solid. Just not shaping quite as much. Maybe a little bit longer. And certainly both these models are a consideration for me for this season. The season's a little bit late starting in the UK with the weather being as bad as it is. But certainly when I see which one of these performs best for me, whichever one wins will probably go into my what's in the bag driver shootout for my top 3. Again, maybe just very slightly out the toe. Again, good solid strike though. And certainly for me, in the past few years, I think, you know, I'm looking to hit driver as far as I can, generate as much speed as I can, and get the best launch conditions. And I've tended to always go towards the low spinning models, but been super impressed with how kind of Rogues performed. And I think the difference between the two drivers, even with different manufacturers now, isn't always as big as people expect it to be. So let's couple with Rogue. And just turning that a little bit more. Not my best one, that. You know, chase out, but accuracy wasn't good there. Let's go one final one with Rogue. That was good. But nice solid one, kind of shape I would expect. And again, a really good one. So like I said, I'm going to switch the heads, exactly the same shaft, exactly the same setup. And we're going to go into Sub Zero. Look at those first 5. Be interesting to look at numbers, because my distances, apart from the 4th one there, were really good. So let's just switch on the computer over to Sub Zero, which is definitely in my list of clubs somewhere. Okay. And like I said, I know from testing this has generally worked really, really well for me. So slightly more kind of compact looking head with Sub Zero, which I don't know whether I prefer that or not. But off we go. So I'd say very similar to the first couple, just a tiny bit toey. But again, we'll take that. A little bit of breeze off the left today, so seeing slightly different results with real ball flight than we're seeing on the screen. That felt really good. Really, really good. See how big that is. Again, nice. And it's difficult. I mean, when I hit them, they feel the same. Looks a little bit different. Like I said, maybe, I don't know, maybe leaning towards the kind of Sub Zero for look, just because it's maybe a touch more traditional. But don't dislike the normal Rogue. I'll just launch that one up a little bit higher, maybe not turning over. But again, oof, that for me is very, very big. Okay, last couple. I have to carry 2 drivers maybe this year. Now, just not turning over that one. But again, strike felt solid. And one final one with Sub Zero. Like every time, let's just give this one a little bit more. Again, felt very, very solid. Pretty accurate for me. And again, good results. So, I think there was 9 really good ones. Maybe the 4th one with Rogue I might just take off, because it, to be fair, wasn't quite the same strike, quite as good a swing. So I'll take the 4th one off with Rogue, and let's look at the results and see how the 2 drivers compare, and does low spin less. Right guys, so we look at the numbers now. Club head speed, I mean, that incredibly close. 109.2 against 109.1. Ball speed, saw slightly more speed out of Sub Zero. So nearly 158 as opposed to 156. Launch angle exactly the same at 14.1. Now, here we go. So my actual backspin with the Rogue, possibly because the strikes were just fractionally towards the toe on a couple, actually came out lower spin at 1500 as opposed to 1800 with Sub Zero. Slightly flatter flight with the Rogue. So an average carry of 275, average total 307. Now, Sub Zero, average carry 281, total 310. So actually there, the fact that possibly strike overriding the club head, actually the spin was a bit too low on the Rogue, so actually it's probably cost me a little bit of carry. Right guys, so like I said there when we were looking at numbers, did the Sub Zero spin less? No. Now the key thing for me was, I would say there, my ball striking was just very slightly better with Sub Zero. My strike tended to be just a tiny bit towards the toe with the Rogue. And as I talk about in a lot of the videos, the strike has then overridden the club head. So at 1500 backspin, it's actually a little bit too low. I did a video a couple of days ago, where this actually spun about 2200 with my good strikes. So 1800 with that. On today's test, no. I think if I tested day over day, Sub Zero might come out a little bit lower, but the key is obviously getting the driver set up properly and getting the strike as consistent as you can. Having said that, the numbers I got with both drivers, I would absolutely take with either. But I do feel that probably for me, Sub Zero is still slightly the best of the two drivers. So guys, hope you've enjoyed the video. Do low spin drivers spin less? Completely depends on where you strike it on the club face. They were all pretty good strikes from me. Just a few millimeters though can make a massive difference. So as ever, you need to get along, get fitted, hit the specific models, try and get some feedback on strike if you can as well, because that's massive. If during your fitting your strikes are slightly high and slightly toe, you might see some fantastic numbers. And then when you go and play, if you're striking it out the heel, you'll see a very, very different ball flight. But get fitted, try the product, get the correct feedback, and get which driver works best for you. Now for me, out of these two, certainly the Sub Zero just edges it, which is kind of nice because that's kind of what I expected before. But guys, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Really appreciate you taking the time to watch my videos as always. Like and share it if you've enjoyed it. Comment below and I'll get back to you. Subscribe to my channel if you don't already. Follow me on all my social media platforms, all under Ali Taylor Golf. Hopefully catch up with some of you guys down here in the future. Stay in contact.